Good morning. Hi, this is
Good
Maria.
morning.
And I am here with my guest, Michelle Humes from Georgia. Michelle, welcome.
Hi, Maria. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
My pleasure, Michelle. I invited you because you are the solution, and I want to hear all about what is going on in your world. So, tell us, tell our guest about your real estate journey, because it's not been a long one. I mean, you've done a lot in a very short time. It's very impressive, and I think a lot of people can learn from you.
Well, thank you. So sweet. Thanks for having me. No, it has not been that long. I have been at it just about 6 years, just under 6 years. I was pregnant with our 5-year-old when I saw a Groupon for a real estate license and decided that might be a fun thing to do. Little did I know.
A Groupon.
Groupon, $200. So a little bit of backstory though, I'm a school teacher. I was a school teacher by trade, and in just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, in a town called Peachtree City. We're the golf cart capital of the world. It is a wonderful place to raise a family. So I had been a school teacher here, married my opera singer husband, and off we went to live in Europe right out of college, just newly married. And we stayed in Munich, Germany for 12 years, which was much longer than we thought it was going to be. But when we moved back, my teaching license had lapsed. And I didn't think that I really wanted to go back to teaching because I thought I still needed some flexibility for his schedule. And we did have, at the time, a 5-year-old. I was pregnant with another baby. And so what does everyone think when they get into real estate? It's so flexible. I love to show houses. And here we are. So
it's anything but.
It's anything but. And I hate to tell people that, and I usually don't. I just let them think it, because when about 4 minutes into it, when you start showing houses, you're like, oh, this isn't like HGTV at all. So anyway,
no, it's not very glamorous, is it? When the lockbox, well, in our case, is frozen and it's 20 degrees out, or
your app will update and you can't even get into the lockbox because it's doing the update right there on the doorstep.
Right. So you do electronic lockboxes. Us Philadelphians are stuck in the Stone Age with the push button where the key comes out.
Oh yeah, no wonder yours won't work. Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's not, it's not glamorous some days, but I will tell you, I'm pleasantly surprised at the turn of events that have happened in my life because I took that risk and got a real estate license. I had no idea what I was getting into, obviously. And so 5.5, 6 years later, here we are running, a solid business. I never dreamed I would be a business owner. I was going to be a school teacher and a stay-at-home mom. So after many years of being a stay-at-home mom, here we are. And, gosh, it's a steep learning curve. I make so many mistakes, and some nights I get in bed and I think, can I do this again tomorrow? Because I'm just one of those people who would prefer to make a mistake and try it than just wait until it's perfect and then keep saying, oh, I'll wait until it's a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. I'm just not like that, which sometimes gets me in trouble because usually I have to say, oh, I screwed that up. But I'd much rather try and make a mistake than I would wait on the sidelines and maybe watch other people go for it and think I could have done that. So, yeah.
Well, you know what happens when you make a mistake. You either make it again or you learn.
That's right. And if you don't get the opportunity to make a mistake, I think that that's really as a disservice, and a lot of times in leadership, if I don't allow my folks to make mistakes, it's the same thing. And you and I have a wonderful coach in common. And a lot of times I'll be looking for him to help me solve a problem. And I'll think to myself, why he's not answering me right away? Why is that? Oh, ding, 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 ding. He's helping me problem solve on my own. And so, I think that that's a huge piece in growing a business and being able to quickly problem solve, be the solution. Get it?
Be the solution.
You got it. And just be a problem solver.
Value.
You got it. And real estate is so much problem solving. And I would say, for me, that has probably been, especially in a market like we're in, where in Georgia, at least, there is very little inventory. There, in our little town, there are 1,000 realtors and there's 93 homes today for sale. And I think that's so interesting to know because, in different areas of the United States, it's a different situation. So even with rates being so low, even with confidence being high in that rate situation, there is no inventory. And so finding ways to problem solve and get people into homes has been a huge, something that I think I come by naturally, but I'm being able to lend that out to the team and say, hey, let's figure out ways to solve the problem that our consumer has.
What are some of the things that you're doing right now, Michelle?
Well, we're big into the network of our agents. So, I'll always say, so let's just take a neighborhood, for example. Okay, who sells the most homes in High Grove? And then if our agents can't name that, I help them memorize that stuff. So knowing who has listings in certain areas, being able to call on them and put deals together, right? So knowing what's coming on the market before it's happening so that we can position our buyer properly. If they have a home to sell, get them in the best possible position without a contingency in order to be able to be ready to go on that purchase side. So that's one way. Really using our sphere, people that know us, love us, trust us, calling on them. Hey, do you know anybody that's thinking about in your neighborhood? And then the biggest thing we're doing is really circle prospecting around when we have a big victory in a neighborhood, making sure that our agents and our ISAs are calling and making sure they know what's going on. Because, as you know, a lot of times a sign goes up in a yard, time goes by, it comes down. People assume it's sold, but they don't really know. And if it comes and goes in 3 weeks, they're like, oh, did they change their mind? What's happening? And really it's because it sold at highest value ever, it appraised. And so it's our job to really educate the consumer on that piece and making sure that they know that they're getting sold and we have more opportunities. One more thing I'll add to that. One of my favorite things to do, say we had 15 showings, 4 offers, and we had one lucky person, right? Or one lucky family. So when we call around, and this is great for any agent, when we call around and say, hey, we'd love to help you if you're looking to get your home on the market, we can say out of those 15, there are 14 more sets of buyers that are still looking. So there are 14 more people who want to live in this neighborhood. Let's chat about it.
Super smart. We do know that when one property in an area, a subdivision or a block, in our case a block, your case probably subdivision, comes on the market, 2 more tend to come on the market.
Exactly.
It's really interesting how that happens, and it happens all the time. So circle prospecting when that property comes up and it's listed or sold is a great way to find additional sellers in the marketplace, for sure. So 93 homes and 1,000 agents. That's pretty crazy. How, and is that your whole area, or do you expand outside of there, Michelle?
We go outside of there. That's my hometown. And that the 1,000 agents is our county. So that's several 100,000 people. But you think about that, like in our whole county, if there's 300 listings and there's a couple 100,000 people, we're really having to be really thoughtful in how we're making this matchmaking happen. For me, there's power in numbers. And so like growing a team started out of it was necessity for me because I was out of time. I had small kids, a husband that travels internationally most of the year, and I needed some of my time back to be with my little one. So I started really with a showing assistant model where I had Ryan, who is still on our team today, show for me on nights and weekends, or even during the day when I was taking a listing. And so that really quickly evolved into people coming and saying, hey, I see Ryan's working with you. Could I come work with you? And then a light went off for me. The more people we put together and the more marketing dollars we put together and the more company dollar we put together, the bigger impact we can have on our community, not only in real estate from a business perspective, but from a community leader standpoint. And so that actually just was a moment for me where I thought, the more we have, the bigger we can do. Yeah, it says my name. It says Michelle Humes Group, eXp Realty on the side of the building. But really, I'm just the face on the side of the moving van, by the way. If you missed my video with the new moving van,
I saw that. So tell us about that. That's really cool.
Okay, so we have a program. What's that?
Where do you park that thing?
Oh, in the parking lot. In fact, my husband's out there shooting video about it, and I hear the beep, beep, beep the whole time we're talking. We park it in our parking lot. It is a courtesy van for our clients. A lot of agents watching might have interest in it. So if you're interested in the program we use, feel free to DM me. I can share the information. But it's fully insured and covered for our clients to borrow. It's just a great service with so many businesses having sort of, as we know, there's lots of shortages and times where people cannot get product that they need. Moving vans are one of them. And so I saw a problem. I wanted to find a solution for it. So this is just a courtesy that our clients can use. We call them our clients for life, and it's our buyers, sellers, or anyone really that considers us their trusted agent can come and check the truck out for the day, or an hour to go pick up stuff from Home Depot or whatever they need to do. So it's and we have a courier van just the same. We'll run errands, and then our clients can use our office as a courtesy, all part of our Raving Fans Club that we have for our clients.
That's awesome. How long have you been doing the Raving Fans Club?
We have only had that for a year. And, it really was, I really wanted to differentiate the experience that the consumer had with us. So very often on a listing appointment, we're going up against 5 or 6 other agents. And, anybody can come and say, yeah, the standard fee is blank.
5 or 6 other agents?
On a listing appointment.
So they interview 5 people?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Often. Oh, yeah, often. Not all the time. If they know us, they'll just have them out. But a lot of times,
5?
We had one last week that we had to compete. And so thank the Lord, I don't even have a copy of it. Maybe I do. No, I don't. I'll have to pull it out. We have this brochure. We have all of our things that we offer as a company, in addition to what all agents, do. That differentiates us. And so in building the team, I really wanted to focus on everybody had a job that they did and did it really well. Think Ritz-Carlton, think Chick-fil-A experience. You go to any Chick-fil-A, it's going to be the same experience because it's the same system every single one you go to. And at the end, they're going to say, my pleasure to you every single time. And so I knew if we were to scale, and today we have 22 or 3 agents, but if we have 123 agents and we have 17 different agents going on listing appointments, I wanted them to all be able to go out and have the My Pleasure experience, the Chick-fil-A, Ritz-Carlton experience, no matter who they got from the team. Yes, everybody's going to have their own way of presenting, but it's going to be the classiest, most professional experience. And in order to do that, you have to have an incredible system behind it. So the Raving Fans was born. It started as events that we had. We would have an Easter egg hunt, or we'll have back to school, movie night, that kind of stuff. That's sort of changed because of our current situation, but we'll get back to that. And we've evolved with that in just really making sure that the experience is top notch. As far as everybody having their own job, we have, a courier that sends out everything same every time. His name's Granddaddy. He's in our team picture. He's the father-in-law of our transaction coordinator. So we have transaction coordinator, listing manager. Everybody always pitches in, but everybody is super really focused on doing a great job in their area.
Wow, Michelle, that's pretty impressive. I love it. So you've taken the Raving Fan Club, you've elevated now to differentiate yourself, your team, in your community. And also what I hear you saying is that it's really important for you to grow your company because that allows you to give back more to the community.
Yeah, I think, and this is any realtor watching, it doesn't matter if you live in a major metropolitan city or in a small hometown. I I think that if there have to be community leaders that see themselves in business as a leader in their community. I see myself as an example for how we should treat public school teachers, what we should be doing to give back to public school teachers, or in whatever way you see a need in the community. I'm so proud when I see our teammates raising their hand and saying, I can solve that. I can figure that out. Or I can go find people who can help fix that. So, you know, unfortunately, realtors sometimes get a bad rap. And I think there's lots of different reasons why, but you know, that's just that get in, get it sold, just want to sell something. And quite frankly, I didn't get into real estate to make a lot of money. I didn't even know what the possibilities were. I sort of stumbled into it, as I kind of said. I was hoping to just take a little bit of financial pressure off my husband, maybe be able to pay the utilities and pay for a car for us. And what I realized was my God-given talents can actually be used to the benefit of so many people around us because of just being open to it. And I'm really committed to changing what people think about real estate agents in general.
So
one day at a time.
One day at a time. But it's your teaching skills. It's the fact that you were a teacher, which makes you such a wonderful leader. And I think what I see from the outside looking in is that allowed you to really grow and scale your company. I mean, for you to do what you did in such a short time in a small marketplace with 1,000 agents, and now you have 23 in your group. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, so
thank you.
So where do you go from here? What's your dream?
Such a good question. So, you know, when we're in it day to day, and I think you can relate to this, Maria, sometimes it's so hard to take a minute and come out of the day to day. I hate to use the word grind, but it is when you're in just the moment of taking care of agents, taking care of clients, taking care of family, to step back and really take a minute. And if I could give any piece of advice to someone who wants to, either by choice or because it happens, they scale quickly, is to really take that time and sit back and say, what is it that I want out of this? What is it that and to me, the more people that come into our organization, the bigger chance I have to help impact families, to help impact the agents that walk through the door. I mean, I have agents that I have quite literally in 18 months see them transform as a person. Now, it's not me that's doing that. And I will say though, every single good, bad, ugly thing that happens in this building is certainly a reflection of my leadership, or lack thereof in those moments. But I will say that the collective effort and the collective genius, if you will, of the group and lending itself to really giving more than you take has been a life-changing experience for me personally. And I believe every single one of our teammates would tell you the same. It's kind of like any relationship. If you're willing, my parents just celebrated their 50th anniversary. And I asked them, they didn't know I was going to do it, but I asked a bunch of questions like the night of their party. And I said, if you had to name one thing that was the reason why your relationship has lasted 50 years, what would it be? And my father said, well, I think you have to be willing to give more than you take. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to not keep track of that, like to be able to say, okay, well, that happened that way, but this time I'm going to give it my all again, even though it may have the same result. And in a team, it's the same thing. The teaching it really does lend itself to being able, I love teaching. I love to see a light bulb click for somebody and say, oh gosh, I could use that. I could say that, or I could make that, solve my whatever dilemma that day is in real estate. I do love that. And we actually attract a lot of people that are like-minded because of that. So that other teacher, there's lots of teachers on our team who were teachers, before having children and much earlier in life, that kind of thing. We're not recruiting teachers from our local community. Don't hate me, anybody. But it is, you like attracts like. And so it was there's been rocky moments, but it has snowballed so quickly. And so to answer your question, big goal. Gosh, I really think we can be at 100 agents pretty quickly. That would be in the next probably 18 months, I'd say. When we do a recruiting class, we do recruiting once Now it's a little bit spread out because it's summer, but in the winter months, we do an onboarding class every single month to 6 weeks. This past week, we onboarded 5 new agents. There's always going to be a little bit of turnover. That's normal. You know, in real estate, 15, 20% at all times is coming and going. But yeah, 100, rule the world. I don't know. That's a great question. I got to figure that out, I guess.
Well, as you said, we work in the day-to-day, daily grind of it. And so taking the time to sit back and in any organization, whether it's real estate or any other business, right, is like thinking, what's the end result? Begin with the end in mind. And the magic happens when nothing's happening. So super important to take that time out to vacation, to spend time with your family, to just decompress and do nothing. And even if doing nothing is taking a walk on the beach, I know you have a beach house. I know you've been renting it. Have you gotten down there?
We went during COVID. Yeah. No, we're not. No, I'm at work. We do rent it all summer. But actually, we just purchased a little, because it's rented all the time, our beach house. So we use it in off season. But we rented a little travel trailer that actually I can drive with my car or my SUV by myself with the girls when Steven is in Europe. So he leaves for Europe, I think the beginning of October, and he's gone to December. So the girls and I in Georgia can still go and camp and, you know, just being really, you're so right, Maria, being super intentional, not letting life happen all the time to us. I mean, I do think that has been probably one of my biggest challenges in fast growth is stopping and creating, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but really being strong with boundaries with people, boundaries with my time, boundaries with what the life I want to create, and really finding my voice in that. Because, you know, 6 years ago, I lived in Europe and I traveled the world for a living with my husband and our 4-year-old. So really, there were no boundaries. I mean, the boundaries was usually I didn't speak the language. That was about it. But the day was my oyster. It was, you know, I actually credit so much of our success today in this business to having been 1 million trillion billion % uncomfortable for the better part of a decade. Being in situations where I was in Italy for a month and then we stepped into our car in Switzerland and lived in Switzerland for 3 weeks, and then we flew to Paris, had 2 nights of a performance, and flew back to Switzerland. You cannot be real stuck in how you want to live your life when your life is constantly evolving and changing, as ours did every single day living in Europe. We didn't speak the language to start. Steven, thank God, is pretty proficient for sure in German and Italian, but also in French, quite good in French. And so we got by, but, you know, that was uncomfortable. Everywhere is not like the South. Like everywhere is not like Peachtree City, Georgia. I was 23 years old when we moved to Europe. I had been married to my husband for 6 weeks, and we didn't even know when we got married that was an option. We sold everything and packed 2 suitcases each, and off we went. And I look back on that now, I'm like, wow. That was, I mean, if my child came and told me that, I'd be like, you're doing what? But, you know, looking back on it, it was probably it was the greatest adventure of all time. And it just solidified us as a couple. We had so many, I mean, believe me, it was hard. You know, I'll never forget, we had these 2 suitcases and you have that overnight flight, you know, and we got to the train and I thought, I don't even know how to get on the train. Like, we don't even know who to call. Like, we don't even know where our apartment is that we're moving to for the next 2 years, or how to open a bank account. So, you know, being uncomfortable for a long time will actually make you fearless. And when you get to come back to America and there's like Mexican food and every kind of convenience and everything, now I'm fearless, which probably gets me in trouble occasionally, I'm being honest.
I think it's great. I love Europe. I think, you know, it definitely allows you the experience. So it's all about experiencing life. Before I was married, or before I was with my husband now anyway, I traveled solo all through Europe.
You know, good for you, Maria. I bet that changed you as a person too.
Yeah, 100%. So I would always ask people to go, but nobody ever wanted, didn't have the money or the time or both. So I said, the heck with it. I'm going.
Yeah, I think we have that in common, Maria. That's awesome.
I went and we visited, we were in Munich at Christmas, actually.
Oh gosh, it's so
and
beautiful.
So what a wonderful place for you to live, and just a great, great city. Great.
Yeah. And we lived right downtown. We could walk everywhere. We walked to, dinner, and we walked to the opera. We lived about a block from the opera house. We made friends there that have been, they will be forever some of my closest friends for life. And it just changed. At the time I didn't know it, but it changed me as a person for the better. And like you said, like, people didn't want to go or didn't have the time or the money. And, I could have said no to that. I could have said, here, Stephen had just won the big Metropolitan Opera competition. We lived in Manhattan. Like, I could have said, no, I'm real comfortable here living in one of the greatest cities in the world. And yet I was willing, and he was willing, to take a chance and a risk. And I think that applies to so many things in life. Like, take a risk in being uncomfortable. The worst that happens is you have to say, okay, I failed. But that risk turned out to be one of the most rewarding and interesting experiences ever. And something that, our little girl was born in Germany, she'll remember that forever. She got to go to German preschool. So, I just think it's always worth taking a risk in life. And even if you don't know how it's going to end. So.
Right. That's what it's about. Because we have to fail forward. I mean, no way to be successful unless you fail. I don't know how else to do it, and I think and then we talked about that in the beginning about how, taking those risks, failing, okay, getting back up, trying it again, doing it a different way, and being open and aware. And I think, when we're looking for people for our company and our group, I think the number one thing is, are they open and are they aware?
Yeah, I ask some specific questions when I'm recruiting folks, but one of the biggest questions that I'm looking for a certain answer is, are you open to feedback? Because if you're not open to feedback, I actually don't even say it like that. I say to them, we have very few rules in our organization. Life is going to show up. It's going to show up for all of us. It always does. But we are committed to no drama. We can't have drama in our organization when we work in a very dramatic business. As you know, we're dealing with people and their emotions and, money. It can get very, very emotionally taxing, but no drama, like, within the organization. And then you have to be open to feedback. We all have to be open to feedback. And if you're not a feedback oriented or improving, learning-based person, we very quickly know that about one another. And we're like, okay, because I can handle a mistake all day long, myself and others. But if you are not open to the feedback of, hey, let's talk about how we can do that differently. I can work with anybody who can take feedback and go from there and learn from it.
How do you tell?
I ask examples. I ask for a story. And this is a really interesting thing to do in an interview process. I ask them to tell me about an experience in their life where it may be, and usually it's a work example, but if they haven't really had much, because we have a lot of young people getting out of school and they don't have a ton of work experience. So I always say that if they're younger, I say, it can be in your personal life or in a work experience where where the situation did not turn out like you thought, or it was a tough situation you were in, right? In a workplace environment. And what was the result, and what were you proud of how you handled yourself? And a lot of times people will tell you a really awful situation that happened that maybe they even screwed up, like bad. And they'll it's funny when I ask it, because they either immediately say something or they say nothing. And so that's a great, they usually, yeah, because can we all not think of, I can tell you mine right now. I can tell you the exact thing that I have screwed up in a business dealing where at the end I was like, oh, I'm glad I chose to tell the truth and have integrity and just deal with the consequences because I screwed it up big time. And then this is how it turned out. And usually I'll ask that. And then I do very little talking. They talk. So that tells you a lot.
Sure. If they don't talk, then they're unaware, right?
Yeah. And I learned that from one of the greatest recruiting coaches in the world, John Black. So I can give him credit for that here on our little channel. So
that is the question. What could you have done differently?
What's that mean?
Yeah, no. So like, how would you handle that today?
Yeah, exactly. So I say, tell me about an experience when, something in your workplace did not go great. Something happened. How did you handle it? What did you do? And how are you really proud of yourself at the end of it for how you, worked that out? Sometimes it didn't work out. Sometimes the people end up leaving a job, but that really, you listen for the clues of the words people are saying, and you can very quickly hear victim language. You can very quickly hear problem solving language, because people are either in one camp or the other typically, and we all go through waves. And maybe they even say, at that time in my life, I chose to be a victim, and looking back on it, this is how I would handle it. But honestly, people will tell you more than you think if you just ask a very open-ended question like that. And it's actually been a great experience to then bring back when something comes up 6 months into them being with the company. I can say, remember that time you told me about the fill in the blank? And they say, yeah. I said, and remember how we talked about it was going to get hard here as well? And, and people tend to they're like, yeah. And so that's a great baseline to start with so that we have something to go back to. And it's a community builder as well.
So we have you have a lot of new agents that come on board with your group?
I was thinking about that last night. Can you hear them all? They've got the music playing in here. We're about to start team meeting. We have these like sound machines when they get it under contract. They're doing all kinds of loud.
Are they ringing the bell? Ding, ding.
Oh yeah. It's like a click, 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 click thing.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
No.
You're at your office now?
Oh yeah. I can show you in 2 minutes when we're almost done. I'll pop in there and show you on the video.
Do they role play in the morning? Are they prospecting? Are they?
So we have on Zoom, actually, we have script practice from 8:30 to 9. And then that is not mandatory, but it's so excellent to be a part of if you're new. About half of our agents are new. And I think I counted last night 8 that started right when COVID hit. So 8 or 9 and now it's even more because of we just added 5 on and 4 of them are new. So it's 10 or 12 that are brand new with COVID. And that's something else that I say to them right away. You're going to be writing a contract within 30 days. Because if I tell them you won't write a contract for 6 months, what are they going to do? Not write a contract for 6 months. But if I tell them you're going to write a contract or an offer in 30 days, by and large, everybody does it. So, yeah, we have about half that are brand new.
So within 60 to 75 days, they're getting a paycheck.
You got it. And I can give you a great example. Crystal started in June. She had her first closing yesterday. It's August 26th. And she will have 2 more in the next week. Now that is phenomenal. We have the system. She put in the hard work. But yeah, so 8:30 to 9 is script practice. 9 to 9, 10 or 15, myself or one of our other leadership agents will hold a quick Zoom check-in. I fought accountability until about 6 months ago. I fought accountability not because I didn't believe in it, because I believe in coaches and accountability and being held to your standard and the numbers. But when I'm the one on the holding side, it felt uncomfortable. And so we had a major breakthrough in our business when I stopped fighting accountability and started just really being true to our numbers. We review numbers, we review contracts. We're not calling out people that are not performing. We're actually focusing on the people that are to help others in the organization pick up clues about how to do that.
Well, you already have the blueprint for success. All they need to do is follow your system, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, show up. It helps if they show up. Great attitude.
Energy.
What's that?
Energy, enthusiasm.
Great energy. I try to tone mine down occasionally because I have enough energy in the room usually to blow a few people over, much like Maria. But yeah, great energy and open mind. Being open to, sometimes a lead you get maybe isn't somebody that you would have connected with, or isn't somebody that you even think like, is this worth my time? And yet at the end of the day, if you're willing to just put in that day-to-day commitment, little commitment. I mean, we're not talking big. And I think that's why when people ask me like, what's your big goal? I'm like, well, the day-to-day commitment is what I'm really so focused on, because today I'm committed to talking to 3 agents to recruit them to our company. This week, I'm committed to 10 recruiting appointments. This week, I'm committed to, 4 hours with our leadership, or whatever it is, 4 hours with my kids, working out, that kind of stuff, eating right. So those little commitments, I think, get you so much further than anything else. And that's what we really focus on with our agents. Let's think about 2 to 3 commitments that are going to move your business forward week after week after week.
The micro commitments, what's happening today, right?
What's happening today, what's happening this week. 2 professional, 1 personal. Get that personal commitment in as well.
Something that you said, I wanted to touch on. You say, is this worth my time? Well, how do you know? Meaning,
so that's evolved. Yeah.
Because we did a deal for $12,000, if believe that or not. We actually make our minimum fee to our company for something like that. So we have both sizes, 5,000, 2,500, or 6,000, sorry, 3 and 3. But that deal gave us 10 more transactions and a relationship with former clients.
Exactly.
So it's about connecting the dots, and these aren't leads, these are people, and these are opportunities to help a family in some capacity.
Yeah, and helping people see that, like, it's such a great, because like a lead that we get in is a rental lead. And so the rental market's not like your rental market. By and large, it's mostly buying and selling here. And so there's not, in our little local market, is not any amount of money. But you do a great job with that family who's relocating from Philadelphia or New York. They need to rent so they know where they're going to live and get their feet underneath them. You could be the absolute most influential person in their new journey, and seeing that as such, and not as it's a waste of time because I'm only going to get blank amount of money. Seeing yourself as someone that can be influential for them changes everything. And, I guarantee you that family that knows no one and is moving here, and you do that for, they'll remember that forever. And they'll probably tell everyone that will listen, whether it's coming from where they moved from or people they get to know. Maria was so influential in helping us really decide on where we wanted to be. The list goes on of great success stories. So I agree with you, seeing people as just an opportunity to serve, as opposed to a paycheck or a lead, or, a means to an end. It's such a much better perspective.
Yeah, this whole business is built on relationships, and the more that people can see that and to actually believe it and feel it in their heart and to serve others, there's so much drama that comes up and can come up in a transaction because, from all sides, whether it's the other agent side or the buyer or the seller, it's our job to keep them even keeled, but to consider that relationship, because if you're going to be in this business for a long time, and there's mistakes, right? So if you win the argument, you've lost. And if you lose the argument, you're lost. Meaning, like, being right. And I've been there. Like, I have made so many mistakes.
Yeah.
So many over the last several decades of my career. And so it's learning from them. Sometimes I think I've walked into about 50 brick walls. I got like a dent.
Yeah. How's that going for you? How's that working out for you?
So
learning, you learn.
Hopefully we
got it.
Hopefully,
you got it.
And then we can see, really what that's all about. And I think it's all about the journey.
Absolutely.
And saying, okay, well, I got today, that's all I have. And really meaning it.
You got it. And really not, I think probably one of the things that I've had to really work hardest on is not beating myself up over it and just moving forward and trying again. We're all going to let ourselves down. And I think, especially as women, sometimes we're harder on ourselves than anybody else even is. And just giving yourself a little bit of grace is super, super important. And just, take a little time off and get back at it. So I hear them getting.
Where are you?
Go ahead.
Well,
they're getting rowdy in here. Exactly. They're getting rowdy. So I think I have to
you got to
sign
go
off in a minute. Yeah, I can hear them playing the music. So thank you so much, Maria. I just loved our time together.
Michelle, I appreciate you. Thank you for being the solution. Thank you so much for taking the time out today. I know that our listeners are going to get some great nuggets from this.
I hope so.
From our podcast today. So I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you soon. Hopefully it's sooner than later.
Absolutely. You're always welcome in Georgia. We've got the beach. We've got Hotlanta.
Yes. You don't have any, you have restaurants open there, right?
We do have restaurants open. We do have a little bit less restrictive. The schools are still somewhat restrictive, but we do have somewhat less restrictive. And just, we're all navigating a new time and just being open and really going out in faith instead of really fear-based is so important in my everyday life. And so come on down to Atlanta. We will host you. We have room. Bring the husband. He's a cook too. We can cook together.
Yeah, we can cook. And
I love it.
We'll bring the wine.
You got it.
We got a good wine collection. So
I'm ready. You then drive it down. Bring the case.
Sounds good. Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Maria. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Yeah, you're a doll. Take care. Okay. Bye.
Bye.